Judiciary Committee, Oversight and Reform Committees at the hearing today with the questioning. Congressman, thanks for being here.
Good to be with you.
What'd you take from today?
Well, the Department of Homeland Security's got three fundamental missions: prevent terrorism, secure the border, and stop illegal immigration. We know they're not doing 2 and 3. It's a complete failure. And for them to say they inherited a mess, they got the most secure border in history when President Trump left office, and they've created this mess with their ridiculous policies, undoing the policies of the Trump administration. But I think one of the big takeaways was when the secretary would not answer a pretty basic, if your number one job is to prevent terrorism. We now know reports, you guys have reported 42 illegal migrants encountered at our southern border were on the terrorist watch list.
I want to play this soundbite at that moment, the terror watch list.
The Secretary of Homeland Security does not know the answer to the status of 42 individuals who came to our southern border illegally, are on the no-fly list and the terrorist watch list. You do not know of whether they have been released or not into the country.
Ranking Member Jordan, as I've said before, I will provide you the data.
You seemed blown away by that.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I was actually a little reluctant to ask the question because I thought I'd ask the question, he'd say something like, oh, are you kidding me, Congressman? Of course they're not in the country. Of course we've sent them back. Of course they're detained. But when he didn't say that and indicated that they may, in fact, have been released into the country, that should be shocking because I said in the hearing, you're the Secretary of Homeland Security. Your number one job, mission number one. You go to their website, 5 mission number one, prevent terrorism. That is shocking to me, but it shows you what I think we pointed out the front end of the hearing, pointed out throughout the hearing. What they're doing to our border, what they're doing to our country is intentional. It cannot be anything else because last year, March was the highest month on record. I said this in my opening statement. Until April. April was the highest month on record for illegal migrants coming to our border, coming into our country until the month of May. May was the highest month until June, June until July, and then July was the highest month until last March. The Biden administration wants
chaos at the border. You think they want this open border for what end?
I don't know. That's the thing. What's the motive? What's the why here? Is it just purely their ideological bent, this leftist bent that the left who controls the Democrat Party? I don't know. He did say today in the hearing that he thinks all illegal immigrants here should get a pathway to citizenship. That's better known as amnesty. So I don't know what the full motive is. It seems to be that basic. But it's definitely no rational person, no logical person could reach any other conclusion than they are intentionally doing, letting millions and millions of people illegally come into our country, knowing that those people know that they're going to be able to get in, stay, and never have to go home. That is their policy. And they just set a new record last month, and guess what? Next month, they're going to make it worse when they get rid of Title 42.
You've done many of these hearings. You only have a short period of time, and the answers are pretty tight. But a lot of times, Congressman, there's a lot of grandstanding in the questioning. You try to get some substantive answers there, but the Democrats say this grilling was not fair. Take a listen.
It is actually too useful for Republicans to not have a functioning system because it allows them to attack and scapegoat immigrants.
These guys, if you want a dog to bark at cars that drive by in front of your house, they would be great at that. You should hire them to do that. I would never hire them to solve a problem.
All right, your response.
Bishop Evans, who gave his life trying to rescue 2 people coming across the river who were drowning, the fentanyl that's coming into our country because they've intentionally, consciously, premeditated fashion put in place a plan that says, remember what Joe Biden announced on day one, Brad? He says there's going to be a moratorium on deportations. They said we're going to stop building the wall. We're going to end the Remain in Mexico policy. We're going to end the agreements we had with the Northern Triangle countries. And in 25 days, they're going to get rid of Title 42. They intentionally want this to happen. So they're saying to the world, I asked this question to the secretary, do you think you're incentivizing people to come? He goes, no, we're not doing that. But how can all those things incentivize people to come? You're saying to people, come to the country. There's no wall you have to get over. There's no wall you have to get around because we've stopped building that. You won't be deported. We won't keep you in Mexico while we evaluate your asylum claim. And next month, we're getting rid of the one thing that's preventing a chaotic situation from getting even worse, Title 42. What do you think that meant? And when you get here, we're going to release you to wherever you want to go. And they're going to give them a cell phone. And those people, when they get released, they're going to call back to their home country and say, hey, come on in. Mr. Mayorkas is letting anybody in.
Will GOP insist on a Title 42 vote in any of these funding for Ukraine or COVID? You think it'll tie?
Well, it'll be tough for us to get the thing because they won't let us bring our amendment they won't let it be made an order in the rule. But in the Senate, they can do that.
And you think that'll happen?
I think they will. Yeah.
All right. This disinformation board, governance board.
Scary.
Why?
Well, because that's the left. You know, the left controls just about everything in our culture today. And you got one guy who buys Twitter, one part of the big tech platforms out there, and they go crazy. So they want to control the message. And I think it's interesting. And I asked this question to Secretary Mayorkas. Nina Jankowicz is the person in charge. So the person in charge of the Disinformation Governance Board is the same individual who told us the dossier was real and the Hunter laptop story was false. That's the person in charge. That is frightening. That is scary. But this is the left. They want to control the message. They don't believe in the First Amendment. Today's left. Today's left basically says, if you don't agree with them, you're not allowed to speak. And if you try, they're going to call you a racist and try to cancel you. And that is how scary it's gotten. So God bless Elon Musk and what he's doing. This is a way we can begin to fight back.